Welcome to Things You Don't Know, the show where we uncover stories and the history of many different kinds of things that are not generally known to most people. In this episode, we're talking about two of the most important tools in history, things we use all the time, and we never really think about what the history is, where they came from, what's the point, all that kind of stuff. Oh, and by the way, you get the point of this? We're talking about pens and pencils. So you need to get the point. Okay, I should probably use them every day. But did you know one single pencil can draw a line 35 miles long? 35 miles long. I think my hand would cramp. Or that astronauts, they had to switch to special pens in space. Stick around as we dive into some amazing, weird, and mind blowing facts about pens and pencils.
Before paper and ink, early humans relied on nature to record their stories. I find that amazing. Here are some early points to consider. The earliest form of recorded communication involved natural pigments, charcoal and ochre, applied to cave walls with the fingers or very primitive brushes, probably sticks or plant leaves. And these communications date back, hang on to your hats, folks, at least 40,000 years ago.
Wow, a long time.
Indeed, petroglyphs and pictographs dating 10,000 plus years ago were done by Native American tribes in North America, along with early civilizations in Africa and Australia. These were etched symbols that were put on rock surfaces to tell stories, mark territory, or record important episodes in history.
Many Native American tribes used sharp bones or reeds to carve messages into birch bark or animal hides. Some also used quill pens made from bird feathers, dipping them into natural dyes from berries or charcoal. Wampum belts were woven with beads to convey treaties, stories, and agreements. The Egyptians, circa 3000 BCE, developed hieroglyphics carved into stone with chisels. Later, they used reed pens dipped in ink to write on papyrus, one of the first forms of paper. The ink was made from crushed charcoal and mixed with plant-based oils.
Around 3200 BCE, the Sumerians developed cuneiform, pressing reed styluses into wet clay. These left kind of triangular marks and became or created the first true writing system. Writing began as humans ceased to be hunter gatherers. In small bands, all debts were oral. You owe me this, I owe you that. We can just say it. Villages require division of labor, and writing is required for economic reasons. What do I owe to whom? Oh, you owe me this. See, we agreed here, that kind of thing. And for political leaders, I am the mayor, da, 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 ego stuff. Okay. This king fought this war, built this temple, da, da, da. Romans and Greeks used metal styluses to carve text into wax coated wooden tablets. The wax could be smoothed over for reuse. An early version of the erase and rewrite method, I guess.
Medieval Europe and the quill pen. 6th century CE. Feathers from geese or swans were sharpened to create quill pens. These pens required frequent dipping into inkwells and were used for centuries.
As the world moved into the modern era, writing instruments evolved rapidly. Dip pens were created in the 18th century. Steel nibs replaced fragile quills, offering much more durability. The fountain pen was invented in 1827, invented by Petre Panaro. It held ink in a reservoir. And in 1938, the ballpoint pen, created by Laszlo Biro, that's why a ballpoint pen is sometimes in slang called a biro, that revolutionized writing with its quick-drying ink. Gel pens, rollerball pens, and digital styluses like electronic tablets now dominate the writing world. Smart pens can even digitize handwriting, merging the past with the future.
A single pencil can write up to 45,000 words. That's a whole novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pencils don't contain lead. It's actually graphite, which was mistakenly called lead in the 1500s. The largest pencil in the world is over 76 feet long and weighs more than 18,000 pounds. NASA originally used pencils in space, but switched to special space pens due to broken tips floating in zero gravity. Pencils work underwater and upside down. No fancy ink required. Why are pencils yellow? The best graphite used to come from China, and yellow was a symbol of royalty, so companies painted their pencils yellow to show quality. Fun facts about pencils. The first ballpoint pen was created by a journalist. Laszlo Biro got tired of ink smudging, so he created a pen with quick-drying ink. Bic sells over 57 pens every second worldwide. That's millions of pens a day. The world's most expensive pen costs $8 million. It's called the Folger Nocturnus and is covered in diamonds and black gold. Left-handed people prefer gel pens because they dry faster and prevent smudging. The space pen was not funded by NASA. Contrary to myth, NASA didn't spend millions developing it. Paul Fisher, an independent investor, created the pressurized Fisher space pen, and NASA later adopted it. The longest recorded writing with a ballpoint pen is over 5 miles long. So, whether you prefer a ballpoint or a fountain pen, remember, it's more than just ink on paper. It's a writing revolution. Which is better? Pencils can be erased. Pens are permanent. Pencils work in space. Pens are just more professional. Pencils get shorter over time. Pens just run out of ink. Which one lasts longer?
Well, a pencil can outlive a pen in terms of writing length. That's for sure. But, several famous people had favorite things that they wanted to write with. For example, Mark Twain loved fountain pens. Thomas Edison preferred pencils with thicker lead. Now, his other guy, Thomas Jefferson, guess what he wrote with? A quill pen, because there wasn't really some options then. John Steinbeck, the famous author, went through 60 pencils a day when writing. Now, I can't imagine that he used them up totally. A pencil got short or shorter, it was more difficult for him to write with. So throw it out and get another one. I'm a famous author. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
When he was writing of mice and men, he would use a different pencil depending on whether he was writing for Lenny or George, the two main characters.
Good point, Sean.
Just to play an historian here for a minute.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that Bic sells, as we said before, 57 pens every second. I wouldn't want the responsibility of tabulating up all those sales. And with my luck, if I got that $8 million pen that's covered in black gold and diamonds, I'd lose it or bend the nib back or some other cockeyed thing. But that's what makes it. I'm just going to tell you a little personal anecdote. It just came into my head and it seems relevant. As you guys know, I have an exceptionality. I have cerebral palsy, and my handwriting is so unreadable. People sometimes think I'm a brain surgeon. Little joke there. But I found in writing the times that I've used older fountain pens or even a ballpoint that was somewhat older, it had a better grip and it was easier for me to write on. Even in this digital age, traditional tools haven't disappeared. In fact, they're making a comeback. Fountain pens are a luxury item for collectors and professionals. Pencils are still the go-to tool for artists and designers. Digital stylus, like the Apple Pencil, bring handwriting into the technological world.
Yeah. Wanted to add another little type of pen here. As we said before, the space pen was not funded or invented by NASA. We didn't spend a lot of money on that. But a guy named Paul Fisher invented it, and he created what it was a pressurized, what he called Fisher space pen. And NASA simply adopted it later. It's much better in zero gravity because it, as I say, pressurized and it pushes the ink down. Well, we've covered a lot of things, but now we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to see if you learned anything by asking a few questions. Now, we'll ask the question, we'll give you some time to think of the answer, and then we'll give you all the answers just to see. So, if you want to, grab a piece of paper or something so you can jot down what your answer is. That would be a good idea. Give you just a second to do that. Okay. So, question number 1. What was the earliest known writing instrument used by ancient civilizations? Your choices: a quill pen, a reed stylus, a ballpoint pen, or a pencil?
Which ancient civilization is credited with developing the first ink and reed pens? Romans, Egyptians, Chinese, or the Greeks?
What material were quill pens typically made from? Bamboo, gold, bird feathers, or metal? Who invented the first commercially successful ballpoint pen? John Loud, Petrarch Ponaru, Laszlo Biro, or Thomas Edison?
Hmm.
Which writing tool was originally used by Native Americans to record both stories and agreements? Papyrus, a metal stylus, wampum belts, or a type?
Why are most pencils painted yellow? To symbolize the brightness of knowledge. It was the preferred color of ancient scribes. It signified high-quality graphite from China. It was the cheapest color to produce. Which writing instrument was first used in space? quill pen, pencil, ballpoint pen, or space pen?
Hmm. Hmm. Which ancient civilization used wax tablets and metal styluses for writing? Was it the Romans, the Mayans, the Persians, or the Egyptians? Hmm. Okay. We're not going to ask any more questions, but Dr. Deneen will give us those answers.
What was the earliest known writing instrument used by ancient civilizations? The answer is the reed stylus. The Sumerians used reed styluses to press symbols into clay tablets around 3200 BCE. That's 5,200 years ago, friends. No paper, no ink, just clay and reeds. Which ancient civilization is credited with developing the first ink and reed pens? The answer to that is the Egyptians. The Egyptians were way ahead of their time, using reed pens and ink made from crushed charcoal to write on papyrus as early as 3000 BCE, 5,000 years ago, before the first pyramids were built.
Wow. Wow.
Which material were quill pens typically made from? The answer is bird feathers. Medieval writers, scribes, and this touches me, and even Shakespeare himself used quill pens made from goose, swan, or even turkey feathers. Who invented the first commercially successful ballpoint pen? Laszlo Biro. That's why a pen is sometimes called a biro in slang. In 1938, this Hungarian journalist created the ballpoint pen, solving the problem of ink smudging. Today, his invention sells in the billions worldwide. Just to give you a trivia question, when he was in a prison camp in World War II, Mr. Biro smuggled messages out in a pen. Which writing tool was originally used by Native Americans to record stories and agreements? Wampum belts. Instead of paper, Native American tribes wove beads into wampum belts to record important treaties, stories, and messages, even to use as money sometimes.
That's true. And which is why we call them wampum belts. It's not really the correct term that they used. And the other thing is that Native Americans did later actually do some writing. For example, the Virginia Algonquins, by the time that Jamestown was founded, had actually had things on a kind of rough paper or on plant leaves, big leaves. So it was an interesting little tidbit there.
Why are most pencils painted yellow? Because it signified high quality graphite from China. In the late 1800s, the best graphite in the world came from China, and yellow was a symbol of royalty and quality. That's why yellow pencils became the gold standard. It was even on the Manchurian dynasty flag at that time. Which writing instrument was used first in space? A pencil. Astronauts originally used regular pencils, but broken tips floating in zero gravity became a problem. That's when the Fisher space pen, as we said, was invented. Which ancient civilization, used wax tablets and metal styluses for writing? The Romans. The Romans used wax-coated wooden tablets, writing with a metal stylus. When they wanted to erase, they simply heated and smoothed the wax. That is so practical, it's a little scary.
It is. Of course, it wasn't real great for record keeping. Somebody else could smooth it and change it. So that's why they came up with some other things a little bit later.
Indeed.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this has been sort of fun to do. Wouldn't you agree, Patrick?
I agree very much.
So, you know,
These are things people don't know. The channel really does bear its name.
yeah, thanks. And, I didn't introduce Patrick because he's been with us on some others. And guess what? He's going to be with us for more stuff. And he's got one his idea he came up with, and it was a great one. I'll just give you a little tease. It has something to do with basketball. And I want you to tune in because it's a good one. And he's going to be, he came up with the idea, he did the research. I'm just thrilled to be working with him.
Me too. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. So, for now, we're going to close out this episode, as we always say. And really, this time, take heed. We'd love for you to give us a like, and we'd love for you to subscribe too. And hey, if you really want to make us happy, give a few comments. Those are valuable in so many ways. The feedback is very important. And we have some big time surprises coming your way. Soon the podcast, both History Twists and Things You Don't Know, are going to be up on about 10 different platforms. That's coming very shortly. And we have some other things. We're looking into doing some things to help those who are hearing impaired, which we've been trying to work on, but it's a little tricky. But we will do that. So uh, tune back in and join us. We'd like it.
So long, my friends.
Bye, guys.